In the year 1046, on a hill above the Danube, a bishop was sealed inside a spiked cart and pushed toward the water below. This is not legend. This really happened. And the men who killed him weren't strangers. They were his own converts. This is the true story of Bishop Gerard's murder. To understand why Bishop Gerard died, we must go back further in time. We must meet the king who changed Hungary forever. His choices, made years before, set the stage for the violence that would follow. This is where our story truly begins. His name was Stephen. He became the first Christian king of Hungary. Before him, Hungary followed old tribal gods and old tribal ways. Stephen wanted his people to join the Christian kingdoms of Europe. But he did not simply ask them to convert. He made conversion the law of the land. Across the kingdom, old temples were torn down by royal order. Sacred pagan sites, used for generations, were destroyed. Worship of the old gods was banned outright. For many ordinary Hungarians, this was not a simple change of religion. It felt like the loss of their whole way of life. Old tribal chiefs, who once held real power, were slowly replaced by Christian priests and bishops. Local traditions were pushed aside in favor of church law. Power itself was shifting hands, from old families to new religious leaders. This change did not happen gently. It happened fast, and it happened by force. King Stephen believed all of this was necessary. He saw a Hungary surrounded by powerful Christian nations. He believed that if his kingdom did not convert, it risked being conquered or erased. To him, forced conversion was not cruelty. It was survival, but belief cannot simply be ordered away. Even as churches rose across the land, many Hungarians kept their old faith alive in secret. They prayed to the old gods quietly, at night, far from watching eyes. This hidden resentment did not disappear. It waited patiently for its moment. That moment came in the year 1038. King Stephen died, leaving no strong son to take his place. Without his firm hand guiding the kingdom, Hungary was suddenly vulnerable. The stability he had forced onto his people began to crack. In the years that followed, powerful nobles fought bitterly over who should rule. Alliances shifted. Loyalties broke. The throne changed hands more than once, and each struggle left the kingdom weaker than before. A weak kingdom, as history often shows, invites rebellion. Into this unstable kingdom stepped a man named Veda. He was a Hungarian noble from Transylvania, and unlike so many others, he had never truly abandoned the old gods. Veda watched the chaos around him and saw not danger, but opportunity. Veda called on all Hungarians who still longed for the old ways to rise up. His message spread quickly across the countryside. This was not just anger at the church. It was a call to tear down everything King Stephen had built and return to the world before Christianity arrived. The revolt turned violent almost immediately. Churches across Hungary were set on fire. Priests who had once preached freely were now hunted and killed. Christian nobles were dragged before crowds and forced to eat and drink like pagans, under threat of death if they refused. This was not a small local uprising. It was a kingdom turning violently against the very faith it had been forced to accept only decades earlier. Crosses were torn from churches, and old pagan symbols were raised in their place across many villages. Far away from this growing danger, one bishop was making his way toward the Hungarian capital. His name was Gerard, and he had no idea what was waiting for him. He believed he was simply answering a routine call to Buddha. Gerard was not born in Hungary. He came from Venice, in Italy, where he had trained as a scholar and a monk. Years earlier, he had traveled to Hungary to help King Stephen build the young Christian church from the ground up. For nearly 2 decades, Gerard taught, wrote, and preached across the Hungarian countryside. He was known as a serious and devoted man of faith. He truly believed his work was saving souls, and he had given most of his adult life to that mission. In September of 1046, Gerard was summoned to Buda. 2 fellow bishops joined him for the journey. None of them traveled with any real protection, only a small group of attendants, unaware of how dangerous the road ahead had already become. As they traveled, word reached them that violence had already broken out near Buda. The pagan revolt was spreading faster than anyone expected. A messenger warned the bishops that the road ahead might not be safe to continue on. According to old church writings, Gerard was urged to turn back and wait somewhere safe. But he chose to continue toward Buda anyway. We do not know for certain why. Perhaps it was duty. Perhaps it was faith. Perhaps he simply did not believe the danger was as great as it truly was. At the very same time, two exiled Hungarian princes were making their way home. Their names were Andrew and Levant, brothers who had spent years abroad, and were now returning to claim the throne for themselves. Levant saw the pagan uprising as a useful tool, not a threat to stop. Some historical accounts suggest he quietly welcomed the chaos, believing it could help win support from traditionalist nobles who still resented the church. Because of this, no royal soldiers were sent to protect the traveling bishops. The warning they had received turned into no real defense at all. The road toward Buda remained open, quiet, and deeply dangerous. On September the 24th, 1046, Gerard and his companions finally reached a hill just outside Buda, overlooking the wide Danube River. From here, they could see the capital city stretched out below them. Waiting for them on that hill was a mob, armed with stones and sticks, burning with years of buried anger. Veda's followers had learned of the bishop's path, and they had found exactly the target they were looking for. There was no chance to escape. The bishops were surrounded on every side, with the steep hill behind them and the mob closing in ahead. Within moments, the attack began, sudden and merciless. Stones flew first, striking Gerard again and again. His fellow bishops tried desperately to shield him with their own bodies, but they were badly outnumbered, and the crowd showed no mercy at all. The two other bishops traveling with Gerard were killed that same day, alongside him. This tells us something important. This was not one isolated death. It was a deliberate purge of Christian leadership. Badly wounded, Gerard was seized and dragged toward a simple two-wheeled cart used for hauling goods. The crowd forced his broken body inside it, showing no sign of stopping. According to the old chronicles, the mob then drove a long, sharp spike through the wooden frame of the cart, sealing Gerard's fate completely, with no possible way for him to escape what came next. With Gerard sealed inside, the crowd pushed the cart to the very edge of the steep hillside overlooking the river below, the roar of the mob rising as they prepared to let it go. The cart was released, and it rolled down the slope with terrifying speed, gathering momentum with every turn, heading straight toward the dark waters of the Danube far below. The cart struck the water with tremendous force. Bishop Gerard, a man who had spent nearly 2 decades building a church in a foreign land, did not survive. He was around 50 years old when he died. The hill where Gerard died has never been forgotten. In the centuries since, it has carried his name. Today, it is known simply as Gellert Hill, and it still rises above the Danube in the heart of Budapest. But Veda's revolt did not last long. Prince Andrew, once he was crowned king, turned firmly against the very uprising his brother Levant had once allowed to grow unchecked. King Andrew I moved quickly to restore Christian law across Hungary. The pagan revolt was crushed, and the old religious order that Veda had tried to bring back was pushed underground once again, this time for good. Nearly 40 years after his death, Bishop Gerard was formally recognized by the Church. In 1083, he was canonized as a saint, honoring the very mission that had ultimately cost him his life. What happened on that hill in 1046 was more than one man's death. It was the final, violent collision between an old world and a new one, forced together far too quickly by a king who did not live to see the cost. Gerard was not killed for anything he personally did wrong. He was killed because of what he represented, a foreign faith, imposed by force, arriving in a kingdom that had never fully agreed to accept it. Nearly 1,000 years later, Gellert Hill still stands above the Danube, now peaceful, now covered in gardens and quiet paths, its violent history mostly forgotten by the millions who visit it today. The murder of Bishop Gerard reminds us that forcing sudden change on people, however well-intended, can leave behind wounds that take generations to heal. History does not forget these moments. And neither should we. If this story moved you, subscribe to Europa Chronica for more forgotten histories, told the way it truly happened.